program have said, and we have said, that there are three functions of university, main functions, especially the academic session. They do research, they do learning, and they do community service. What happens to our research? What happened to the research being done by universities? We have solar projects coming up all around. We still depend on importing solar panels when a university can build solar panel from the entrance to the end of it to supply electricity to the hostels. You can use the whole roof.
So government should provide the funds for them to build this solar alternative system.
You can partner. You partner with if you like, international agencies. And moreover,
no, but you have to pay for it. So do they charge students for this? Should they charge students?
Moreover, all the research our students do, are they left there to gather dust? We have been doing researches, even the lecturers and the professors have been doing researches.
90 billion the Nigerian government gave to Hajj Commission as grant for people to go and pray in Mecca. If they push it into installation of solar system in universities, do you think it will not close the gap? So we can't push the liability to the universities, who in turn put the burden on the students. There's a role for government, and government must understand this. Now you're asking them to pay 300 million per month. 300 million times 12 is what? How much? Where would they get the money? Where would they get the funds? And there are other subsidies you're paying to people who don't deserve it. And these are people that provide the leaders of tomorrow. These are the people that will nurture our youth to become competitive. You're making their campuses to be very unhealthy, unfavorable to learning, and you're channeling funds to where they are not needed, buying of jets and all that. And we should prioritize our needs, and we should know the ones that should come first.
Yes, I'm not opposing whatever request that the universities are making, but I'm also saying they can complement by also using their research to bring out solutions to these issues. We talked about Songhai farms. We talked about Songhai farms in Togo, in Benin Republic. Songhai farms, they generate the electricity from within, and they don't use government electricity in Songhai farms. And you have people from Nigeria that go there for training. Songhai farm is also established in Delta State, and you have the NASCO biscuit in Jos, which generates the electricity and share it also around the community, around the factory. So we are saying that government give them more funding, but yes, the universities researchers must go to work. TED Fund has been giving researchers money for research. This money should be used genuinely. You should use judiciously to ensure that, yes, we are proud of our universities.
Do you know where our universities, tertiary institutions would have been without TED Fund? It would have been an eyesore. In fact, as we speak, many of them are eyesores. But one of our listeners raised the issue of IMF advice to China. Their latest advice is that they should implement a suspended tax. And he pointed out how injurious IMF advice has been to third world countries and how they will not advise their own countries. Now, if you don't know, IMF is owned and controlled, not owned, controlled largely by the European Union. World Bank controlled largely by the US and its allies. The Chinese Afro-Exim Bank, indeed controlled by China. So when they come and advise you, they will not give you an advice that will make you economically independent, to be less dependent on their products and all that. They will give you advice that will further take you to the doldrums. So it's not for Ghana to take up that advice or not. There are subsidies in the US. They paid heavy subsidies. And I don't know why it's difficult for governments in third world countries to understand this. Some people have challenged. Tell me one country that have implemented these IMF World Bank policies that have not sunk deeper. It's like you're in a hole and you're digging. Ghana, just to share with you, is beginning the construction of a 300,000 barrels per day capacity refinery. The state is doing it. And before long,
a state in Ghana.
The Ghana government, the state of Ghana, the Ghanaian government has commenced construction. I recall what Mele Kyari promised during the Buhari administration when he was appointed, that all our refineries will start working before the end of
August.
Buhari administration.
Even he has, the promise he made.
Ended. Tinubu administration is going into the second year. He's still in office and none of them is working.
Just to bring to listener, Dangote has reduced the importation of crude from abroad because of the promise by the government that NNPC should give them about 450 barrels per day, where we hope for the best. As I listened to the Minister of Petroleum yesterday, I was talking about divestment in the oil sector, and he said that, and he went also talk about the price that we sell PMS. That when we sell PMS at 600 here, Nigerians smuggle it to neighboring countries and it's sold for 2,000, 3,000. And that is what affects our prices here. It's a big one. I think there's a lot of rot in that system, oil and gas, and we need to be sincere to ourselves, look ourselves in the eyes and say, yes, we must remove this debt and let this thing work for our good.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Have a good time. Where multiple voting without beavers were allowed to stand, it wouldn't take us to any.
We celebrated in 2022 when the Electoral Act was brought up. That ended the life of the card reader. During the card reader, we had what they call incidence form. If the card reader fails, you resort to incidence form.
And more people were using incidence form, discarding
the card reader. So we celebrated that INEC had put everything in place to bring in a biometric
voter
accreditation, yes, BVAS. And we are excited and to hear this story again and again and again. It saddens the heart that are we really ready to grow our electoral process? Some persons have said people vote via email out there. And the democracies and the government, the system of government that we admire, they vote via email. So what happens to us? When are we going to grow? I remember when the Minister of Education, last Minister of Education came in and he was challenging the JAMB people for bringing CBT to the system. And they're saying that most Nigerians are not computer savvy or computer literate. And the JAMB people challenged him and said, no, we must grow. So the Nigerian electoral system must grow. I wish you have Oloyede as the head of INEC. All this issue of voting outside will stop because the man stood his ground and said computer-based tests must be used. And even the police recruitment and some agencies recruitment, they use a computer-based test for recruitment. So why is INEC different? Because there are desperate politicians that want to defraud the system and they want to get power by all means. It's my ambition and I must get it by all means. That is why they bypass BVAS. And INEC and the courts are sitting now and they are watching, and the democracy keep going down, dwindling as it were.
And we pretend all is well. All is not well. The law says if you're not accredited based by your fingerprint or by your facials, if the BVAS machine does not
fail your fingers, you should recognize your face.
You must not vote. But in Nigeria, one thing is that you have the law and the other is to implement it. INEC has refused to implement the laws, and the judiciary, resorting to technicalities, have refused also to enforce our laws, rules, and regulations. Now, are you aware that the